But as I said, Watcher Guru reported that just in the SEC acknowledges the grayscale's essentially conversion of the trust into a spot XRP ETF, which just means that whenever you buy XRP through this ETF, they actually have to hold the underlying asset, which is XRP, similar to a Bitcoin or Ethereum ETF that is available now, a spot ETF. So again, while this is just an acknowledgement, it's not an actual approval. A lot of people were confused by that. It's a step in the right direction, as they mentioned here. Showed it to Tommy Gunn there, but it's basically the step ahead of an approval. So I went ahead and looked into it. I couldn't really find anything quickly on Google, but gotta love Grok. Shout out to Elon and X. How long did it take after the SEC acknowledged Bitcoin's 19B-4 filing for an ETF to launch? So the time between the SEC acknowledging Bitcoin's filing and the launch of the Bitcoin spot ETF was relatively short in the context of regulatory processes. According to information available on the web, the SEC acknowledged the 19B-4 filing for various Bitcoin ETFs, and a similar thing happened today, right? And that was on January 5th, 2024. These ETFs started trading on January 11th, 2024, which means there was approximately a 6-day period from acknowledgement to trading commencement. This timeline indicates that from the acknowledgement of the 19B-4 forms to the actual launch of the ETFs, the process was completed within about a week, showcasing an expedited process compared to typical regulatory timelines. So you have to remember that this is Bitcoin, the favored, right? The godfather, the end all be all, essentially, the the maxis, second coming of Christ, essentially. So when it's Bitcoin, they probably wanted to get it through as quickly as possible. So, one has to wonder if XRP might take a little bit longer because of that, and the fact that it's still going through litigation with Ripple and the SEC. So we'll see what happens with regards to this. But, on the best case scenario, I would say maybe a week and we get an actual approval of the ETF. But I would say more realistic time frame is probably a couple weeks to a month. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section or in the live chat. If you agree with me, disagree with me, always love hearing from you, and always open to other perspectives as well, right? So this is kind of interesting too, because if you remember, Jeremy Hogan, a legal expert in the crypto space, very, very popular lawyer and attorney, he said that he believes that the most likely scenario is we get a case resolution with the Ripple versus SEC before an XRP ETF. And I think that's kind of bass backwards, because why would that be the case? Like, it doesn't matter that Ripple's going through the SEC. Ripple isn't XRP. Yes, they're kind of determining whether or not it's not in and of itself a security that's up in question. We know that it's not a security. That's the law of the land. But they're talking about, the institutional sales, et cetera. So, at the end of the day, I don't think that matters. Like, we have tons of ETFs for securities, right? The S&P 500, Apple's in an ETF and it's a security, right? So I don't really understand that logic. But, not downplaying the dude. He's very smart. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow we find out that the case ends. I don't know. But, I think it is sooner than later. It could be paused. I think they could very well pause the case. They just did it with Binance for 60 days. Why is 60-day important? Because that window is generally how long is what it's expected to take for Paul Atkins to come in. So essentially it's just a stopgap to get us there, pause all this nonsense, and then the Gary Gensler and, the other former commissioners, their lawsuit era, their 10-year era lawsuits are probably going to come to an end, and it's probably going to be a pause and then a full-blown dismissal or a settlement. I think a settlement's probably the most likely scenario still, but interesting to see that Jeremy Hogan thought it was going to be the other way around. I always said it's going to be ETFs first and then the case resolution. Why? Because they'll use it as exit liquidity. Everybody and their dog will be able to buy in their traditional brokerage account and their stock account, buy an ETF, right? Just like you would a stock or any other ETF, and then, launch the ETFs. We'll see massive upside, because some people are saying, well, Ethereum launched its ETF and it's been brutal. Yeah, but Ethereum was at $80 in March 2020 and then now trading almost 4,000. So I would say that the run's pretty much over, whereas XRP just barely hit a new all-time high, and it's actually not hitting a new all-time high compared to some exchanges saying 380. So if we get into the 380s, 390s, then it's a brand new all-time high. And then like Ethereum didn't stop at its all-time high; it continued to soar. So why would XRP stop on an ETF approval? I don't understand that. Plus, I bet you any money you're going to see way more interest in XRP ETFs volume-wise on a comparative basis to Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's going to absolutely dwarf it, in my opinion. And I can't wait to buy ETFs. I think a lot of these people that are waiting for no tax cryptos as well is a very bad decision, because hopefully it works out for you. But for the love of God, make sure you do not hold it all, right? I'm not telling you to buy, sell, or hold. I'm just making sure that you understand that you really think about it. You really have to make this decision on your own. But I would very much recommend that you give this a long, hard thought. If you're going to hold it for no tax cryptos, you better be taking some profits, I hope, because I could just see this happening. Everybody's going to be like, oh, I'm going to hold until the no tax cryptos. You know, we have our new administration and savior in office. We're going to get no tax cryptos on Make America MAGA cryptos, you know, made in America. Okay, I hope that happens. I hope you're able to sell 100% of your bags at no tax. But here's the deal. You could very well miss your chance to sell if you're waiting for that and then have to endure a bear market. Imagine if XRP goes to 10 or 20 bucks and you don't sell waiting for no tax crypto, and then there's an 80, 90% correction in the market and it drops back down to around $3 or $2. Are you going to live with yourself, right? Are you going to be able to stomach that? So you have to really get real with yourself now. And yeah, I think these ETFs are going to be exit liquidity for these market makers, right? They're going to suck everybody in at the last, and they'll use the ending of the lawsuit, in my opinion, in partnerships, Bank of America, you know, no tax crypto, all that rhetoric, strategic reserve, sovereign wealth fund, all this stuff, stablecoin gaining adoption, more partnerships, right? CBDCs around the world, tokenization of real world assets and stocks and bonds, to quote Larry Fink. So like, I really do think that they're going to approve the ETFs. Maybe I'm wrong. I would happily be wrong, because if the case ends, it's probably going to be a massive green God candle, right? So I always think that I think that we're going to see ETFs approved first, and then the case resolution. That'll be the cause for the blow off top, maybe even, you know, additional partnerships and all of the other catalysts that I mentioned. And, you know, stablecoin legislation, market structure bill in the US, clear rules of the road in terms of a regulatory perspective. And then that's the blow off top, right? But the case ending is essentially going to be the nail in the coffin to create that blow off top. And then the ETFs, I think it just makes sense to have them approved first, so that it makes it easier for everybody to buy it. It's now on Robinhood and all the exchanges since, you know, the judgment came out. So I think that makes the most sense. Let me know again if you agree with me, disagree with me, and curious to hear your thoughts.